And we're back, baby. Seven Figures or Buzz Podcast, episode 108, the number one podcast in the world to grow your insurance business. Christian Brindle, Glenn Shelton. We're back on the Thursday morning. Good morning, good sir.
Good morning, brother Brindle.
Spreading
How
the
are
good
you?
word. Spreading the good word, as I see.
Couple things. One, Tyrese Halliburton.
Oh,
Did you
I
see
watched.
it?
I didn't watch the whole game, but I did watch. I turned it on for like the last minute. So I watched the last minute of regulation going into overtime. I watched all
You
of
caught
that.
that live, you dog.
Yeah,
I didn't
watched it
see
live.
any of it. I didn't see any of it. I saw they were up in the fourth quarter, and my daughter wanted to watch some show. So it looked like the Knicks had it in the bag, and so I'm like, okay, I don't need to watch this anyways.
It was over. And
it was over.
Yeah, I mean, that Pacers team, man, are they good? They're so good. Halliburton's terrific. They have so many players. They're kind of like the Thunder. They're very deep. They have a lot of good players. They have a strong bench.
If this is Pacers Thunder, I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch the final. What did you think of his show after he
loved it. I loved it. The throwback.
Of course you did.
The Reggie Miller. He points to Reggie Miller, who's broadcasting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Obviously, the most famous choke, in NBA history is Reggie Miller in the Garden. I think it was like the 9 points in 20 seconds or something like that thing against the Knicks. And I loved it. I thought it was I wanted to turn it on earlier. My wife wouldn't let me. So then she goes to put Violet to bed, and I sneak it on. And I watched that shot go in live. It kind of was reminiscent of that Kawhi Leonard shot a little bit, not quite the same, but bounced really high, way up, and I was like, whoa! I was like screaming in my living room.
And someone who shoots quite a bit of basketball, like I shoot quite a bit, like with my kid and by myself. I like shooting. Hitting. I just want to tell any listeners, watchers, hitting the back rim like that and having the ball go completely vertical. You're talking about like a 1 in a million shot. That never happens.
Yeah.
That literally never happens. When I hit back rim, that thing goes to China when I'm shooting.
I think part of it too, like that shot is super rare, but it's a tiny bit less rare for the pros because their form is so good, right? It's going to be their misses are oftentimes more on point than it's closer to going in, I guess. Right?
It has to be from the arc of the ball. Basically, by shooting a high enough arc, I guess it's hitting the back. Because the only way that works, it has to drop vertically on that back rim.
Yeah.
Any angle on that back rim, and that ball is coming out.
Right. And they call it, they call like shots that roll around or they bounce around a little. A lot of times they'll call it shooter's touch because the shooter has such great form that even their misses have a better chance of going in, or their bad shots have a better chance of going in than a normal person's shot, but even that type of shot, you hardly ever see that, you just don't, especially on and I remember, he's going at their center, the Knicks center, Mitchell Robertson, and then he backtracks, runs back to the throw. I'm like, what are you doing?
It looks like NBA 2K. It looks like something you would do in playing NBA 2K. Like, it doesn't look like real life. Like,
and I don't have a dog in the fight in this series. I like watching good games, but
I have a dog, and its name is the New York Knicks, and I can't believe that happened. It was very painful to check ESPN later last night and to see that the Knicks somehow lost in overtime. I was like, these freaking Pacers, they will not go away.
Yeah.
They will not go away.
It's pretty wild, and I think I had forgotten this. I don't know if you did, but they were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year too.
Yeah, I think I did forget that.
So they're a good team. They're a good team. They lose to Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, but I think it went to 6 games. Like they won a couple games and against Boston at the peak of their powers kind of team.
Boston.
I wanted to kind of start with this morning on the show before we get into the topic. And we have a really strong topic for you guys today. One that I can't believe we haven't talked about yet, how to attract new clients with content marketing. One thing that we've done really well in every one of our businesses.
Yes.
But, you know, I put a post up in the group. I've been thinking about this a lot the last couple of days. You and I have talked about it privately on the phone here and there. And, you know, I've been avoiding talking about this on the show, and I don't want to go but so I put a post up in the Facebook group last night, just kind of seeing. I'm like, am I the only one that's seeing this? I can't be.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about a different post. I'm kind of bummed now, but that's okay.
No.
We can keep going. We can keep going down this road.
So I'll read the post, right? So my post
Please do.
Last night said, I have never seen the media try to destroy a company, not a person, as much as they are trying to destroy United Healthcare. I guarantee you something bigger is at play here. Every day, you know, there is something egregious going on. You know, I've started joking with the staff, you know, like, because we on a daily basis at this point are having clients call in expressing real concern over having their coverage with them every single day now. Like, so one of our team members comes back, talked to me yesterday. She's like, how should I handle this? Like, they're very flustered. So I tried to give some guidance, and I started joking, you know, I just start saying like the most egregious things. I'm like, oh, they're responsible for this. Don't you know? Clearly, you know, like world hunger and all this. And, but you know, I don't want to get into the latest of kind of these allegations that came out, but there's an allegation that dropped yesterday morning about, you know, nursing homes and bribing nursing homes and things like that. And it seems so calculated to me.
Targeted. Yeah.
Targeted. There's a bigger agenda there. And, you know, for whatever people can say, like, does anyone deal with these carriers more than we do as agents and agency owners and agency operators? Certainly not. And we have a better experience dealing with them than probably a vast majority of companies. I'm not going to say they're perfect because none of them are, but I wouldn't say that they're just egregious compared to other carriers. There's a list of carriers I would list that are egregious to work with over them. And we have probably more clients with them internally than any other carrier. So we have a large sample size to work with. It's just, it seems like, you know, there's been a secret meeting of the minds of sorts. And that meeting resulted in the decision of, let's try to dig up any type of allegation we can, and let's just destroy them. Let's crush them. And it's kind of frightening for me. It's a little concerning. I don't understand where the bigger end goal is with this. I have some theories, but I at the end of the day, I just don't know. But I was kind of curious of your thoughts.
Yeah, so definitely been following this story. I mentioned, you know, the other day on the pod, United Healthcare stock was very attractive to me because the media, what they've said and what's been going on, the stock's come down quite a bit in price, and I see the value because I do think they're such a great carrier. United Healthcare, feel free to send us some more marketing dollars for that plug. But
they sent me a very nice jacket the other day that I'm kind of afraid to wear out in public.
Oh my gosh, not again. Oh, in public. I thought you were going to talk about the washing machine.
No.
Yesterday, Christian was saying he was scared of wearing our new ESI swag because he didn't want it to get worn out in the washing machine. And I was destroying him on a company Zoom call yesterday. I was like, we can buy more shirts. We have the money. I'll get you as many shirts as you want, buddy. Okay. So no, yeah. Well, yeah, bad press, right? Bad press. They've been getting a lot of eyes on these stories. And obviously, I have no idea the validity of any of these claims, right? It could be total hyperbole. There could be some truth to it. There could be a lot of truth to it. I don't know. What I find interesting is that there were several executives who bought a ton of stock
Yeah.
last Friday. When you don't, and then to go deeper on this, historically, the executives at United Healthcare have never really bought that much stock in the company. Nothing compared to the level of stock buying in turn. So what does that mean? Well, if you are running the company and you see the stock price come down, you're willing to basically put your money where your mouth is. You're betting your own dollars that the company's doing fine. To me, that says everything I need to know as an investor, as somebody who works with United Healthcare. That tells me everything I need to know, regardless of the validity of some of these claims. There could be, obviously it's a massive company, you guys. You're talking about what, like, I want to say it was 200,000 to 400,000 employees. Like, there's going to be potentially some things that happen among the employees where maybe there was some wrongdoing on certain levels. But if you want me to give you my opinion on the long-term United Healthcare, where I think it's going, I think they are, the focal piece of the Medicare insurance carrier industry. I think they're fantastic. I think they're doing a great job, and I love them. I'm in love with United Healthcare.
Historically, right? Like, ever since I've been in the space, I started as an agent in 2014. So this is year 11 for me in the space. They've been the gold standard. Truthfully. And we've had so many clients work with them on policies over the years, and we've had such a bang up experience in a good way. Their market cap today, and it was higher than this. It was probably a year ago, just shy of $275 billion market cap.
I thought they were at a $600 billion market cap at one point.
I don't know if it got that high, but it was high, higher than that.
Higher than Towley from South Park.
But even despite all of that, all the falling in the stock and bad press and everything like that, put that into comparison. Humana's market cap, for example, almost 30 billion. CVS, which owns Aetna, obviously Aetna's not their only revenue stream. They have all different types of, income streams with their stores and clinics and pharmacies and everything like that. Just shy of 80 billion market cap. Anthem, the biggest blue we have in the nation. If I can find it. I can't find it. Where are they?
So do you want to speculate on why this could potentially be happening? I think there's a few different reasons why it could be. And the comments on the post, I think, were interesting. Some of you guys had your own theories about what was going on. I think there's one simple explanation. And I feel like ever since COVID, the media's kind of been obvious where, certain headlines, when they find success with them, they'll just keep recycling and regurgitating it because they're getting the eyeballs on it. They're getting the clicks they want. How does media make money, you guys, right? I mean, follow the money. That's what I always say. Follow the green trail, right? The money. It's through advertising. Advertising gets paid through clicks, through eyeballs on stories, on videos. How do sensational headlines or sensationalized stories drive people to read, to watch, to click. So, you run this one headline, and obviously what happened last year in December, right? That was major news. And so I feel like here's my personal take, my personal opinion on what's going on. I think the media is just regurgitating and recycling United Healthcare through their system to drive traffic, to drive clicks, to drive revenue. That's my personal opinion. I think there's a lot less validity to what's actually being said. I think it's being sensationalized. I think, now, is there something bigger and more nefarious going on? I feel like you think there could be something bigger going on. I also saw some speculation in the comments we can get into as well. I think this is a great topic. What is your opinion though? What do you think is going on?
I think there's probably a lot of truth in what you're saying. I think that's part of it. Like I think it's just almost like doubling down on what's been working for them in terms of getting their clicks and their attention. I have been really a defender of the company, of the carrier, and I'll continue to do so because, I feel like at the end of the day, it just seems like any little allegation that they find is just popping up. And you have a company that size, there's going to be all types of allegations going on, right? Like, and we've seen it with clients of ours, right? Like a carrier might deny a claim because someone goes out of network. And the allegation is the doctor might lie. The doctor's office might tell them, not tell the client we're out of network. They might say, oh, your big bad insurance company won't cover this service. I've seen that a million times. It's like, no, it's a covered service, but you're out of network. But the provider will tell them that, and that becomes the truth for the client. And they go tell everyone that. I've seen that with every carrier. And so, like, if you're looking for an allegation from people that don't understand insurance, you're going to find a laundry list of them. They're not hard to find. So, I've been a big defender of the carrier. I find them to be a terrific partner with our company, and we enjoy working with them. We think they're great folks over there, and they do a good job for our clients. Point blank, they do a good job for our clients. We don't see that's the type of negative experience that is being reported. That being said, I think in addition, I think what you said, there's a lot of truth to it. It wouldn't.
Thank you. Thank you.
But it wouldn't surprise me, because I might go off of the train tracks a little bit, but I'm gonna really take the risk.
Seatbelts, guys. If you're driving, you might want to pull over. If you're listening to this, we're going off the roads here. 4-wheel drive. Go ahead.
The mainstream media is mostly liberal.
Okay.
80-90%. I don't think anybody that's going to be objective is going to push back on that. Mainstream
that's
liberal
a big
media
percentage.
I
feel confident in that. 90% of media is liberal. I think it's
maybe 80. I would feel very confident saying 80 or more.
Okay.
Because outside of Fox News, there is no mainstream conservative media that I'm aware of. But on the liberal side, you have the CNNs, the MSNBCs, the ABCs. I mean, I can list 10.
Right.
Now, I'm not talking about podcasts or internet shows, or I'm talking about like the mainstream media. And so their narrative is enormously louder than the other side. I'm not saying that's for better or for worse, but the liberal mainstream narrative is socialized medicine, has been for some time. Like that's what they would be in favor of.
This was the comment. This is what I wanted to get into is the comment. There was a comment on the post that someone said this, that they believed that part of what could be the driving force was this. So yes, continue. We got there.
And if you look at history, in the history of anytime something pushed back against the machine that is the liberal mainstream media, I'm going to piss off so many people by talking about this. They join together, regurgitate talking points, and they go after somebody in a calculated attack. All these different networks, right? Look at Rogan, right? Horse dewormer, that situation.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a perfect example for you. And it's pretty obvious to see those kind of a calculated regurgitation of the same talking points over and over again. And so that's what I think it comes down to. I think the liberal media sees through these stories and through the public interest in these stories, a opportunity to develop a chink in the armor, and the biggest 600-pound gorilla in existence is United.
I think to make this more objective for you out there, for those who might be getting fired up politically here, socialized healthcare or a national healthcare, a one-payer system, that is a more progressive, a more liberal ideology by nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's something that the Liberal Party supports and promotes, this idea. So, what would be the best way to continue to promote your idea of a national healthcare system while, villainizing one of the biggest health and private health insurance companies in America would be a great way to try to promote your idea, right? You're by villainizing them, you're essentially trying to put a light on your idea to make it shine brighter. So, I don't think I don't feel like this is like a big conspiracy theory or some crazy political idea to jump to these types of conclusions. I think it's a simple thing, even if it's not like let's say it's not even a direct idea. Let's say that this is just bad press and maybe it is all money driven. If you're someone that's part of the Liberal Party or the liberal system, you're going to probably take advantage of what's being said in the media and go promote your idea, whether it's interconnected or not. So it does lead to this. There's also been some stuff I've seen recently too, where it seems like California as a state might be pushing towards a state universal health care. There hasn't been a lot like in the immediate recent like news about this, but I feel like there's been some stuff that's been discussed. I don't know, where that's at. That's, potentially a whole conversation for another time, but
right.
Regardless, that this is what's going on. This is the reality that as health insurance agents that we're dealing with, right? There's this giant battle happening behind the scenes that we can really only speculate where we're at and what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'll say one last thing about it and then we can kind of truck forward. Because I don't want to piss off people that enjoy the evil, the evil Marxist liberal media. They enjoy their programming, but
You're like, I don't want to piss them off, but I'm going to go ahead and call them evil. Like, that is quite the two-handed statement there. But okay, continue.
Preface my comments. But no, I feel like to me it's just too obvious, because you will see, and we've seen this in other situations, if there's any type of narrative they don't like, they will quite literally, I mean, there's been so many montages online of different news stations that have nothing to do with each other, word for word reading the same lines and same talking points. Like they play them at the same time, right? And they're playing over each other, and you can perfectly understand everything being said. There's like 25 different people saying it because they're all saying the same word for word thing out of a teleprompter. You can't convince me that's not
Isn't it Sinclair? I think Sinclair owns all of these local media. I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's been for a multitude of different things, whether it be, political elections, whether it be a certain talking point, whatever it is, right? There's several things floating around in my mind as examples, but I really don't want to take us off the rails in terms of those, because they probably upset the audience more, some people in the audience, more than anything I've said so far. So it might not seem like it, but I am having restraint about this conversation. But yeah, I mean,
Next up, religion. Christian's going to share his religious beliefs here on the pod. Christian, go ahead. Tell us how you feel.
Well, no. Wow.
Cut.
Let me tell you.
Jake, cut the stream. Jake, cut the stream.
Anyway, that's kind of my thoughts. I think there's definitely something to clickbait thing, but it seems a lot more calculated than that to me. It doesn't seem that simple to me.
It could be, and I think time will tell.
Yeah.
The other thing that happens to you guys is, and we've seen this time and time again with the stock market, they will push narratives and stories just to try to make a stock price go up or down on both sides of it. You know, you have these multi-billion-dollar hedge funds who are playing a game at a level that, you know, Christian and I, we talk about stocks on here sometimes, like, you know, we're just retail investors. We're nobodies. We're you got people with 9, 10 figures, 11 figures, you know, making moves, pushing these $100 billion cap stocks up and down. I mean, there's some crazy stuff going on out there that we, every now and then you get a peek into what's really going on. And then the rest of it's just speculation, but time will tell. I think this is something we'll have to talk more about as this story continues, because I'm sure there will be more information as we go here.
Yeah. Let's move on to our our sponsor
really fast. Yeah, really fast. Before we get to the sponsor, I wanted to talk about this, since this is the last episode of the week, episode 108 of the 7 Figures or Bust podcast. Freebie Friday is tomorrow. I have a list here that our team put together for me. I'm just going to read it really quickly for you guys.
Oh, this is it.
This is everything we've given away since January of this year, 2025. I'm going on record right now, and I'm telling you that there's not a single Facebook group that exists that I'm aware of that has given away as much as Christian and I have.
I'm going to unplug my mic. I don't want to hear this. Let me get nauseous.
I'll read everything, and then you can tell. I'll have you guess how much you think the retail value is of what we gave away. Okay, so you can guess the price point that we've given away so far, and I'm going to read everything that we've given away. And again, guys, to enter into Freebie Friday, it's super, super simple. You comment on one of the live streams that we've done in the 7 Figures. The 7 Figures or Bust Facebook group, the 7 Figure Medicare Agent Facebook group on Facebook. We typically do 4 streams a week. By commenting on one of the streams, it automatically enters you into Freebie Friday. If you comment on all 4 streams, you have 4 entries into the giveaway. We do a random name wheel spin, and then we announce the winners. Every week, we typically give away something different. Sometimes it's the same for a couple weeks in a row. Here's the list since January 1st. The Book of Business, How to Purchase Book of Business course, we gave away the first week of January. Then it was 30 turning 65 leads, 30 turning 65 leads, 3 summit tickets, 240 hours at Hire Heroes, then 80 hours at Hire Heroes, then 100 MedSup leads, 100 MedSup leads, and 100 more MedSup leads. Then 3 entries or 3 logins to the How to Purchase Book of Business course.
I wish it was all totaled.
There is a total here.
It's so much easier to quantify. Okay, we're gonna get to the total.
There is a total. There is a total. Yeah, there is a total. 50 final expense leads. 200 dental vision hearing leads, 3 logins to the 7 Figure Medicare University, 3 summit tickets, 3 more summit tickets, 10 tickets to the summit, then 50 more turning 65 leads, then 100 turning 65 leads. Then last week we did 3 more entries into the 7 Figure Medicare University. And we're going to do more entries into the 7 Figure Medicare University this Friday, tomorrow. What would you guess the retail total value is on everything we've given away so far that I just listed off here in the group?
I positively know.
I just ruined Christian's day, you guys. He's like, we're giving away too much. We got to cut back on this.
Read the totals on that, because it is hard to follow along, right? Like you're trying to, like, there's all these different things. It's hard to kind of total, like, okay, how many leads total of that type was that kind of thing?
I don't have, so what I have is I have a quantity based on dollar amount. I don't have total leads given away or total tickets given away.
Okay.
But I have it. The quantified retail value is just shy of $50,000. $50,000 since January, and it's not even June yet. We are on pace to give
be six
away
figures.
more than $100,000 to you guys just by being a part of the Facebook group, just by commenting on these streams. And we love it. We love that you guys are a part of the conversation. We love this community. We love giving back to you guys. And again, bring your friends, invite everybody, the more the merrier. We want to be one of the biggest Facebook groups in this space to help as many agents as possible. We already are. We want to be even bigger. Yeah. We're almost at 10,000. We're this close to 10,000. Christian's getting a tattoo at 10,000, he told me.
No.
Isn't that right, Christian?
No.
The diamond on the neck.
They had a deadline.
The diamond on the neck.
And they missed it. They missed the deadline. Yeah, 50,000 is insane.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's no reason why, because we didn't even do Freebie Friday right at first. It happened kind of a little bit later into the show, I feel like, after we'd been doing it 3, 4, or 5 weeks this year. So there's no reason why we won't hit $100,000 in giveaways this year. So yeah, make sure to comment on Freebie Friday, you guys. Let's talk about this episode's sponsor, and then I want to make sure we have time for our main topic. Yes. So this episode of the 7 Figures or Bust podcast, episode 108, is brought to you by 7 Figure University. It is the #1 training platform to help you grow your business, whether you need help with sales, whether you need help with marketing, whether you need help with lead generation, whether you need help with branding, whether you need help with content creation. We're talking about on this episode today. Whether you need help with business structure, hiring, culture, training, organization, automation. It's all in there in the 7 Figure University. It's typically $5,000, which is still much more affordable than a lot of the other courses that, let's face it, don't give you as much. And they charge you every year, lifetime access, but it's now 86% off, give or take, at $695.95 until May 30th. You have 8 more days to take advantage of this. Make sure to get into 7 Figure University, this episode's sponsor.
7figureu.com, SEVENFIGUREU.com. I'll have the link in the comments, you guys.
All right. So shifting gears into this topic, right? How to attract new clients with content marketing. We're going to take this from the perspective, of course, of attracting new insurance clients, because we do a lot of content marketing on all sides of our business, and attracting insurance clients is part of it, but it's not all of it. But we're just going to kind of center focus in to attracting new clients into your business as an agent or an agency owner. First off, I'll start off by saying content marketing long-term, because it is a long-term endeavor, right? I first started content marketing for insurance clients. I did some statistics on this 8 years ago, 7 years ago. Now I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah, 8 years ago was the first time that we started doing content to attract Medicare clients to us. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
So it's a long-term thing. We've attracted more clients through content marketing. And again, I've always said your best lead, if you'd like to call it that, is a referral, but your next best one that's better than a referral is someone from content marketing. Because not only are they sold on you, they kind of a lot of times know what they want if your content is good, educates them on what they want. So there's way less educate them. So it's way less. There's a lot less work you have to do in terms of working with that person. And we've written more business than most agents have in their total book just from content marketing over the years.
Yeah.
It's been a big part of what we do, and we're still doing it today. So when we talk content marketing, Mr. Glenn Shelton, what is the first thing that comes to mind for you?
This episode of the 7 Figures or Bust podcast is brought to you by the 7 Figure University. 7figureuniversity.com is a culmination of Christian Brindle's and mine's educational videos that we have developed over the past 2 decades of combined experience in the senior insurance space. There's more than 250 videos,
hundreds of hours of content that can help you become a top producer or a top producing agency in the senior insurance space. We're talking about videos of how to work with specific carriers, how to do different types of marketing, such as seminars or Facebook advertising, how to generate content in the niche to help grow your business, how to grow an agency, all sorts of things. There's so much value in this. It's unbelievable. Christian, what do agents need to know about Seven Figure University?
Seven Figure University can best be thought of as an agency blueprint in a box that's put together for you that brings you step by step in every facet of building a successful seven-figure insurance agency and lays it out all in front of you so you can follow along. Whether you guys need help with marketing, whether you guys need help with branding, whether you guys need help with hiring, training, standard operating procedures, systems and processes, automation, you name it, it's covered in this course. Not only that, you get access to my weekly training calls every Thursday that go from January through the end of September on a week-to-week basis. And you can attend those live and ask questions live. And then, of course, the recordings are put into the university afterward if you can't attend it and make the live training. So there's just so much value. It's the gift that keeps on giving, and it's a great investment into your business to kind of keep you up to date on what's going on, but also kind of point you in the right direction in various things that you're struggling with.
Some of the best training you'll be able to find, you guys, in one spot for one price. Go to sevenfigureuniversity.com and learn more.
Let's get back to the show.
So there's so many sides to this, and this is a great topic. We're probably going to have a part two, just based on how much there is to talk about. The first thing, and this is becoming almost a little bit outdated, I guess you could say in some ways, is blogs. You know, writing an internet article that you can publish on your website that someone can find, you know, through a search engine, or they find your website and they're reading your content on your site. You wrote something about Medicare. You know, the one person in particular who absolutely crushed this early on in the day, I'm going to give a shout out right now on the pod, Jeff Root. I know you're listening, Jeff. You're probably my number one fan out there, and I appreciate that. But Jeff, being facetious there, but Jeff, selltermlife.com. If you go over to that website, he talks a ton about essentially blogging for life insurance topics that people are going to search for, and especially if you do like long keywords. So, you know, to give you an example of this really fast here, you know, Everything Senior Insurance is in Sandy, Utah. So if you were to blog about a specific topic like what is the best plan G for living in Sandy, Utah? Like if something like that was like the title of your blog article, and then in your blog you're talking all about, you know, why plan G is a good option. And then if someone's searching for that term specifically, right? And there's so much you can get into on this on an SEO perspective. There's so many tools out there that can tell you the volume of certain search words. So before you invest time or money into specific topics, you can know what the volume looks like. And then you try to basically capture as much of that search volume as you can. Or if someone just finds your website organically, right? They're searching for a local business, or they, you know, happen to know you or your company, and they go on your website and then they're reading more about it. It gives you this authenticity, this expert. You like Christian said, I mean, it's genuinely one of the best leads you can have, because people are coming to you, they know you, they know what you're talking about. But that's the first thing that comes to mind for me, and it is a little outdated here in 2025, but blogging, that's just one piece of content marketing. What comes, I already know what you're going to say, I think, but what comes top of mind for you on this one?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that we've done content marketing related to attract clients. I mean, I've written books about Medicare that have brought clients in. I have done kind of some of the blog things on some of our other websites. not a ton, but a little bit. But the biggest things I think for me in the agency was YouTube videos and podcasts. Now here's the thing: not everybody. Some people are too shy to kind of go down that type of road, but I think if you can get over that,
do you want to talk to those people really fast?
Sure.
Talk to the shy, because there was an agent not too long ago I talked to. I said, you got to start a YouTube channel, and they said they would never do it. They're like, no way. What would you say to that person if they're listening right now?
This might sound extreme, but I sometimes you wonder
20 more minutes, Glenn. 20 more minutes, Glenn. Just hold on. We're almost there. 20 more minutes.
No, I think I would argue that a YouTube channel, you could make the argument that it is, if you take it seriously, it can become your number one marketing tool, your number one prospecting tool in your business, if not top 2 or 3. Like, it is so powerful when you put the time in and kind of build it out. And here's the thing, I feel like the biggest thing, people are afraid to be on camera. It's kind of like the same kind of aspect of speaking in front of an audience, right? You're afraid, you've never done it before, you have stage fright. But I feel like with video, it's a lot easier to get over that, because at some point you're doing it, you're making yourself do it. You realize fairly quickly that it is literally just you and the camera. It's not nearly as scary as talking in front of an audience. You can edit it, so you can edit out your mistakes, right? You can really position yourself to look very good. But I think you're, if you're trying to attract clients in a big way, and do it through content marketing, I don't think there's not too many better ways, I'll say this, than a YouTube channel.
Right, I get that. And that's what I said to this agent. But how do they get over the hump? How do they get over that fear? What's the best thing they can do? It's like you just shove them out of the airplane, say, pull your chute on the way down.
You turn on the camera and you talk, and you force yourself to do that. There is no other way.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you any type of like encouraging thing, or like, I can tell you that you need to like, meditate beforehand. If you meditate about this for 20 minutes exactly, like none of that's going to work. The only thing that will work is shaking out the jitters by just making yourself do it. Like most things, it's like making a sales call or speaking in front of an audience. It's the same type of thing. And one thing people also have anxiety about is their videos being bad. And every single person I've ever known, and even people I haven't known that I'm a fan of, I've heard everybody say this, including myself. When you first start out, your videos are bad. Everybody's videos are bad. And as you go, they get better. You get more polished. You learn what's going to work versus what's not going to work. You keep getting better the more that you do it. But yeah, it is very much about just shoving them out of the airplane. There is no other way. I could tell you 100 different things right now, and none of them are going to make you feel any better until you just do it.
The piece of that too, where it's bad, people want bad videos. If you're coming into content marketing thinking it needs to be polished to the degree of like a Hollywood studio, that honestly turns off a lot of people. They want authenticity. They go to YouTube, they're searching on YouTube for someone to talk to them and give them like the real information. They don't want a TV commercial when they turn on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other piece of this. And I'm telling you that as someone who's done a ton of content and a ton of videos and a ton of podcasts. I know that fear. I started a podcast called the Heroes Huddle Podcast. And it died after 7 episodes because I was so focused on trying to make it so polished that it was too much work. It became too difficult. So the less polished and the more content, the better it is. The better it is. And like Christian said, just do it. Just turn on the camera and start talking.
And you'll get better over time. Like you will learn, right? When I started the Everything Medicare podcast, many of you know about it. To this day, it is still the number one Medicare podcast in the country. I can't believe that. Depending on the platform, there's some there where it might be number 2 or number 3, some platforms, but overall, you Google Medicare podcast and usually it's the first one that comes up. And it's been so powerful, like so powerful. And when I started doing that, I was literally talking into my phone into an app. There was no video. I did not know what I was doing. Like I literally had no clue. I was clueless, but I had the mentality of I'm just going to start and see where this goes. That was my mindset. And it blew up. You know, it is such a huge audience. Even to this day, we'll put out usually an episode a week, an episode every couple of weeks, and they always get 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, sometimes 3,000 downloads. Like it just has become such a force.
I think last AAP, there was one that did 10,000.
Well, that's YouTube, not the podcast.
Oh,
2 different things. We were putting the podcast on YouTube, but like, you know, there was a YouTube video we put up, and on YouTube it reached, I think it's at 11,000 views right now.
Crazy. Think about that, guys. That's a lot of seniors.
I have videos on our consumer YouTube channel that are at 20,000 views. And it's free. You know, think about that.
That's what I'm saying. What's the cost? That's my first thought when you say that is, what do you, and again, this is someone I'm a lifetime marketer in this space. Do you know what the cost to reach 20,000 seniors is? Not only that, but if you're doing an outbound campaign, it could be callers, it could be mail, it could be whatever it is. So it's not only is there a significant cost to reaching 20,000 people, it's also not going to have the same level of intent.
It's not organic. It's not organic. Like, you know that every single person that clicked and watched the video willingly did it. They wanted to know what was on the other side.
There was consent.
Consent. I mean, so people always, so in above and beyond just starting, like there's ways you can be strategic about YouTube too. Glenn mentioned earlier keywords. Like YouTube is just a big search engine. It's the second biggest search engine in the world, Google being the first, which Google owns YouTube. And the best way, I remember I met Patrick Bet-David in person a couple of years ago. And one thing I asked him is, I was like, you got any YouTube tips for me? You know, because obviously there's few people that have done YouTube as well as him. And the advice he gave me was something I kind of already knew, but it really helped me understand that, okay, this is something I really need to pay attention to. Was he said that you need to, in whatever your lane is going to be, figure out all of the most commonly searched keywords and then own it. Like make video after video after video after video with the keywords built into the title. And, you know, so like if you're trying to be the MedSup guy, I'm probably going to try to make 60 videos with MedSup or Medigap in the title, or Plan F or Plan G or Plan N, and anything that's associated with that. I'm going to just, you know, and I'm making my titles as search engine friendly as possible, and kind of becoming like the go-to for that. And that's a great way to kind of own a niche in a sense. You know, I did it on our agent training channel because I focused for about a year on the keyword or the key search term, Medicare sales training. If you search Medicare sales training, I'm usually the one that comes up for the first like 5 to 10 videos, usually. And so, you know, you can do that with Medicare or ACA or whatever it is you're trying to market. But yeah, and podcasting too, right? Like nowadays, I feel like the best way to do it is you make one piece of content, you rip the audio, you put that up as a podcast, you put the video up on YouTube. And then, you know, if you do have a content team, what we do, this is probably too much if you're on your own and too much if you're starting for sure. But eventually you take shortened clips, you find ways to repurpose the content. You put those shortened clips up as reels, shorts on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, and you're creating one piece of content that gets distributed in 25 different ways oftentimes. And that's how we do it. And it is so powerful. It's so great for your brand. It attracts customers to you. It also strengthens your ability to work with other clients because they'll Google you and they're like, wow, look at all this stuff.
Yes.
Social proof.
Yes.
I'm so in love with content marketing. I will tell you this. It is my favorite thing that I do in the business. It's not the only thing I do in the business by far. We joke oftentimes that we're just podcasters. I spend an hour of my day podcasting and I spend the rest of my day doing other things that has nothing to do with that. But it is my favorite thing that I do because I know that the more that I do it in whatever it is we're doing it for, the more it's just kind of contributing to this avalanche of impact on our business.
That piece there, the gold that Christian shared there, like if there's one key takeaway, having one long form piece of content that you do and then repurposing it, that's the strategy for success.
Yeah.
That's what all these major content creators are doing. And it could be a podcast like this. It could be a giant blog article that you write that then gets pieced down. It could be a YouTube video you create that then gets pieced down. You take the transcript, you take the audio, you can put it all over other places, social media, your website. Now it's email content that's going out to your list. The keyword thing is a big deal too. Lead heroes for several keywords. We're page one for, Medicare leads. We're page one on Google. Final expense leads. We're page one on Google because again, that's how you get traffic. That's how you can have people find you is by hitting those keywords like Patrick Bet David told Mr. Brindle those many years ago. YouTube essentially is working the same way as SEO does. I think that video now has really leapfrogged almost all other forms of content. The future of internet search is looking for a video. If you're in a bind and you are looking for information, let's say something breaks, and you're trying to figure out what to do. Are you going to sit there and read an article today in 2025, or are you going to try to find a short video that walks you through what to do, right? We almost all choose that video. And even Google's algorithm. I mean, I'm looking at a search algorithm right here, like searching final expense leads. They're populating a lot of YouTube results in page one of that search. So, video is really the king now, in my opinion. It used to be that written content really drove a lot of these search engines, but video has really trumped that over the past, I'd say, 5 to 10 years. And there's no doubt in my mind, if I had to recommend one thing, it's video, whether it's live or recorded, getting it on YouTube, and then, trying to drive traffic to those videos. I think that's the best thing you can do.
I'll share a little bit on the audio podcast side too, because we haven't talked a ton about that. It's probably true overall that for our consumer content marketing, not our agent marketing, I'm just talking solely our consumer content, that our audio only audience is bigger than our video audience. And so don't downplay what an audio only audience can look like, At first, when I did the Everything Medicare podcast, it was just audio only, and it was just going on audio only platforms, meaning, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Amazon Podcast, Google Cast, all these different platforms, right? And what did so people, I've been asked this before. I haven't been asked it recently. I think people forget about the Everything Medicare podcast. How dare you? Some of you were introduced to me.
How dare you?
How dare you? But like I was asked one time, and I thought it was a really interesting question. I'll quickly touch on it because I know we're getting top of the hour. But How did we become the number one Medicare podcast? What did we do that the other podcasts weren't doing? Well, first off, there were other Medicare podcasts at the time. So certainly I wasn't the first one to do this. And there've been a bunch since then that haven't been able to overclips us. So how did we become number one? How do we stay number one? Well, what I noticed on the other podcasts, because I would kind of look into what they were doing, a lot of them were just super inconsistent and didn't post very often, their pods. So like the biggest one at the time when I first started, she had a pretty good show. I listened to a couple of different episodes. I wanted to kind of get an idea of what I was going up against. My goal was to crush her at the time. I was a little 2018, 19. I'm like, I wanted to dethrone her, which we did. And she's never been thought of again. Just kidding. She is a good show.
She's gone now. She's a better place.
Podcast's a better place. Obscurity. That's the place.
Obscurity.
So anyway, I noticed that she wasn't consistent, right?
Right.
Any type of content you're doing,
yes,
consistency is probably one of the most important things you could do. I went for 2 years straight. I want to say, if not a year, it might have been a year and a half. I can't remember the exact time frame, but it was over a year, to where I made a commitment that I'm like, all right, this is her weakness. I'm going to make her weakness my strength.
Oof.
And so I decided to do 3 episodes a week, no matter what. Whether it was my birthday, a holiday, I did a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule. And I did the shows usually like 20 to 40 minutes, depending on the topic. And I went I went hard in the paint. And I just pumped out the episodes. I'll never forget the first time I ever talked to our friend Danielle Kunkel Roberts of Boomer Benefits. I hope she doesn't mind me sharing this. I think not. But I interviewed her, and she was familiar with the podcast, and she was like, I was looking at it, and she's like, you do so many episodes. She's like, you don't have to do that. Like, you're doing so much, you don't have to do that. And I did eventually slow down to 1 a week, and then now we probably do 2 to 3 a month usually. But we built this audience up through doing that, and they could kind of come to expect almost like a predictable schedule for the show.
Right.
Kind of like this show. The audience can predict a predictable schedule. On top of that, I was adamant about really pursuing getting as many reviews, specifically on Apple, as possible. The more 5-star reviews you could get, the more your podcast would be easier to find. So all of those metrics matter. And yeah, I mean, through that consistency, getting those reviews, and just really pumping out the episodes. I mean, that audience today, I feel like it's kind of like the ugly stepchild, because we kind of forget about it at times, but it's massive. That senior audience
it is
on
massive.
I'm pretty sure Glenn's mom listened at one point.
I believe so. We're not 100% sure.
We haven't confirmed.
It was around the time we actually merged our companies, and my parents were getting ready to turn 65, and I wanted them to obviously enroll with ESI. And the Everything Medicare podcast came up, and my mom is the type of senior who's going to do a lot of research about Medicare before getting on Medicare. And she couldn't say for certain, but she believes she actually had listened to several episodes of the Everything Medicare podcast. I wasn't trying to downplay the audio segment. I honestly think podcasts are still super underrated. I feel like, though, from what makes the most impressionable, I feel like if you watch a video of me versus listening to I feel like the most impressionable thing I could do on someone would be to film a video and have them watch it over audio. I still love audio, though. I love audio. I think it's super underrated. I love the Everything Medicare podcast and that audience. I think it's incredible, the size of it, and it's still there. It's still there. It never goes away. And that's the other part of content marketing that we haven't even really touched on. We're already at the top of the hour, but the other thing we haven't really touched on is you do all this content, like the Everything Medicare podcast is such a great example of this. It's all still there. If Christian never does another episode, it's all still there, and it's going to get listens every single day passively. Old content. It's the closest thing to cloning yourself that you can really do. I've thought a lot about especially when you do videos. It's like you cloned a little piece of you, and that little piece of you is just doing it over and over again on your behalf. It's so powerful, you guys. It really bums me out when I talk to agents and they're like terrified of content marketing and they don't want to do it. They don't want to put themselves out there. It's like, part of me wants to be like, well, what's the point then? Like, what's the point of being an agent? Like, if you're that scared of putting yourself out there, like what is selling insurance? You're putting yourself out there every day, right?
It's
crazy.
Like one thing I've been thinking a lot about lately, and I built it into a couple presentations, is like, there's such a thing as being a promoter for your business. You kind of have that mindset that you're a promoter, right? And I think promoting is different than marketing. They might be like distant cousins of sorts, but
they're connected but different.
I think you have to have the mindset that like your business needs a promoter, and the best promoter that your business can have is you. So by you putting yourself out there and being content and creating content marketing, like, you're the face of your business. You're promoting your business. That's what you're doing. You're promoting your business. That's the way I've always looked at it, you know? And I think, you know, do you have to be a promoter? No, there's been businesses that have been built without being a promoter, but does it make it easier to grow if you are willing to be a promoter? Yeah, I think so.
For sure.
There's been a lot of examples of people that have built really, really big businesses on the back of being willing to be a promoter.
Alex, got a question here from Alex, joined late. Did you discuss the SEO value of content marketing? We got into it. We did talk about some of the SEO value today. I think there's so much more, like, as we've gotten to the top of the hour here, and I'm thinking about like what we didn't get to. I think we could almost have like a series of topics around this, where like we could do a topic just on YouTube. We could do a topic just on podcasts. You know, that's a little meta maybe, but we could do a podcast about podcasting. We could do, I mean, again, the written articles, blog articles, I kind of mentioned that, but this is a really big topic. There's so much content marketing that you can do for your agency, for your business, that can help drive it. It's a no-brainer. It really is. I think it's a must. You know, I'll kind of share my final thoughts here, you guys. I think Christian shared a really great example of being consistent with content marketing and how it's paid off. It's the same way for me. There was a time period, especially with Lead Heroes, where I was obsessive about getting content out. You know, Christian and I have both published books. You know, it's another piece of content we didn't even get into. We didn't even mention. You know, but the early time period in Lead Heroes, I was obsessive about getting content out because I knew how powerful SEO was. I knew how powerful content marketing was. And the other part of it too, if you're strategic about it, you're also alleviating a lot of your time. You know, if you're writing content about things you're getting a lot of questions about from your clients, now you can send them to a piece of content instead of answering the same questions over and over. That was a huge driving force for me, is I was so sick and tired of getting the same questions over and over and over. So I was like, I'm going to create content that can help answer these questions and also provide an SEO benefit to the business. And, you know, so it's really like a Swiss Army knife solution. It's probably the number one. Again, this is someone who owns a marketing call center. So there's, you know, that's how a big source of revenue for us is the call center. Content marketing is king though. Like, it's number one. Like, you have to be doing it. It's like not asking for referrals. I think you're crazy if you're not doing it, to be honest. Those are my final thoughts on today's episode, How to Attract New Clients with Content Marketing, episode 108, Mr. Brother Brindle. Final thoughts on today's episode.
Yeah, I mean, I've shared a lot on this show, but also other types of content that I put out about kind of, just kind of the differences about like, I almost think about it like I have two careers, like the beginning of my career and then the second half of my career. First, like probably 4 to 5 years, I wasn't doing a lot of content marketing. I wasn't running ads. I wasn't doing things like that. I was doing things really old school and hard ways. And then after that, I really kind of delved in and learned how to do a lot of that stuff. And the difference in my business was vast, right? Like we went from a couple of 6-figure business to a 7-figure business, and now a multi 7-figure business. And I look back on it and I think there are several things that really contributed to that difference, right, in growth. You can point to running paid ads. You can point to all different kinds of things that we're doing, automation, right, CRMs, all that stuff. But
sure,
I would argue that at the very least, it's got to be tied with something else, that nothing has had a bigger impact than content marketing. Like when I look at like what was different now versus then over the past probably 6, 7 years, whatever, that we've been doing content marketing in the way that we have. It's transformative over a long period of time. You become branded forever in the eyes and the minds of your consumers as an authority. And there's no reason why you shouldn't be. This is what you do for a living.
Preach. Yes. Yes. I love this.
So that's what I can share, right? It's powerful, man, but is it always comfortable? No. Are you going to get criticized? Yes, I get criticized every single day.
Sure.
Every single day. I read all of our YouTube comments on all of our channels. And every single day there's someone just beating the crap out of me in the comments. And it used to really bother me. It doesn't anymore usually. The once in a blue moon there will be one and I'm like, you son of a bitch, but most of the time not. But yeah, guys, that's my final thoughts on this episode today, episode 108. Let us know if you guys would like to see a part 2 on this. We could be talked into it.
A lot more that we could discuss.
And yeah, if you guys made it all the way to the end, whether it be live, whether it be on a replay, no matter what platform it might be on, we certainly appreciate you. And we'll be back with another episode soon. Make sure to give us a 5-star review on any platform that allows it. Like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Comment on the stream on the Facebook group for Freebie Friday entrance. And we will be back next week with more episodes. See you guys then. And here's to your massive success.